Hey y'all, in this video you're going to learn how to disassemble and reassemble the Stevens 320 manufactured by Savage Arms. This will work for 12 gauge or 20 gauge. First, open the action, clear the weapon, leave the action open because that's going to allow you to take the barrel off. Now unscrew the magazine cap, also referred to as the barrel nut sometimes. And there's your magazine cap. Set that off to the side. Now you can pull the barrel off. You're going to grip the receiver and the barrel. Just pull and twist, and it'll pop right off. Okay, now you're ready to remove your trigger assembly. So the first thing you have to do is remove the trigger assembly retaining pin, and that is this pin right here. If this is a newer weapon, it may be a little bit harder to get out, so you may need a metal rod or a small screwdriver to push it out. And in this case, this is a brand new weapon, so I had to use a pair of pliers to knock it out the other side. And that is your trigger assembly retaining pin right there. You can set that off to the side, and now your trigger assembly will pull right out the bottom. Now you can remove your bolt carrier group from the receiver. Grab the foregrip, slide it out of the receiver, and the bolt carrier group is going to come out. Now that sits on this little rail system, and all you have to do to get it off is compress the firing pin and then pull it away from the foregrip here, and it'll pop off the rail. Now once you get it off the rail, don't let go of the firing pin or else it'll fly across the room or wherever you're at. Keep some pressure on it. Pull out that firing pin. Once the firing pin is out, the firing pin spring will just pull right off of it. And that is the full disassembly of your Stevens 320. Now putting it back together is basically just going in reverse order. Take your firing pin spring, put it back on the firing pin. Take the firing pin, put it back into the bolt housing group here. You're going to want to keep pressure on that, holding it in place so that you can get that little groove to go back in here. So you're going to hold it flush. Take this little U right here and put it in that groove. And then once it's in there, release the firing pin and the bolt will slide right into place. Once it's in place, you can slide it back into the receiver. Now there's a little sweet spot here where you want the bolt to sit so that you can get your trigger assembly back in. And I found that if you line the foregrip up with the beginning of the receiver, it usually works out pretty well. There's these two little grooves right here. Line them up and set your trigger assembly in there. You may have to adjust the bolt forward or backwards just a little bit to get it to slide into place, but there should just be a very small gap between the trigger assembly and the receiver here. Once the front of the trigger assembly is set in place, the rear will slide straight up into the receiver with just a little pressure on the back. Once you've got it lined up and you can see daylight through the other side, you're ready to put your trigger assembly retaining pin back in. Once again, might require a little bit of pressure. If it's an older weapon, you'll probably be able to do it by hand. Now that you have your retaining pin back in, you're ready to put the barrel back on. What you're going to need to do is open the action a little bit. If the action is closed all the way like this, you're not going to be able to get the barrel on. So open it up, grab the barrel, and it's going to slide into the receiver until it's flush. Do a quick check to make sure that the barrel is flush. If it's not, the magazine cap will not go all the way back on. So if it looks like this, it should be good. Take your magazine cap, and you're going to put it on hand tight. No reason to put this on with pliers or anything like that. And that is the full reassembly of your Stevens 320. Now it's time for a functions check. You should always do this after you reassemble a weapon. So first up, put the weapon on fire, cock it, squeeze the trigger. Trigger should fall. Recock the weapon, squeeze the trigger again. Trigger should fall. Put the weapon on safe, squeeze the trigger. Nothing should happen. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.